so I'm just going to move over here so you can see behind me. I'm getting my weatherman practice here, pointing at something that isn't there for me. But you'll see the eclipsed sun up here, and right there. My finger's disappearing into it. But as the sky opens up, you'll actually be able to see some stars. Again, assuming it's clear, you'll be able to see some stars. To the right of the moon, you'll see a very bright star-like object. That's the planet Venus. A little bit further in that direction, which is over here, you'll see Saturn. And right next to Saturn, you might see Mars. A little, like, it looks like a little red star. Saturn's usually fairly bright as well. And then to the upper left of the sun, right behind my head here, you'll see the planet Jupiter, which is also a pretty bright object in the night sky as well. So during that couple minutes of the eclipse, you might be able to see 4 planets. And actually right next to Jupiter, I think, is Neptune, but it's faint and it might be hard to find. And then another object that you might see between Jupiter and the sun, so right here-ish, there we go, right there, you might see like a smeared object, which would actually be a comet. I have to thank Todd Taylor for bringing this to my attention because I missed the news articles about it. But it's actually kind of a cool object. It's called Comet 12P. Or Comet Pons Brooks. And one of the cool things about that comet was that it was actually co-discovered in Geneva in 1883, or just outside of Geneva, by William Brooks, who was a resident astronomer in the city for a long time. So that's kind of cool. That comet appears once every 71.2 years. So, and it's in the sky for a couple months. If it has if the comet, depends on what the comet's doing in the next couple days, but it could get a lot brighter, in which case you might see it between Jupiter and the sun. So again,
this is so exciting. Geneva comet, right? For a Geneva eclipse. And this is wonderful.
You'll see news articles about the Devil Comet because it might actually have 2 tails, which is a thing that comets do when they get to the sun. But there's nothing evil or portentous about the comet. It's just a chunk of ice floating around the solar system, and it might be visible. So glance up in that direction during the couple minutes of totality when it's safe to look, and you might see that, which would be really cool.
And again, these are not things that you're going to see when you have your eclipse glasses on and are looking at the sun before it's in the totality. But once things go entirely dark and you've got that night sky, when it's safe to take your glasses off, this is a great picture of what we might expect to see. Thank you, Doug. I really appreciate that.
Yep.
And another Geneva connection. That's very exciting.
It's our own eclipse.
So I hate to bring this up, but I feel like we ought to discuss it. Forecast says partly cloudy. Again, today it says partly cloudy and it's great. But we've had some snow, some rain the past couple of days, and there is some of that back in the forecast for next week. What should we expect or do, or how might we change things if it does start to look cloudy around here?
Yeah. So I think the first thing would be, if you have a sky like you have right now, where you have patches of blue, and it's not completely overcast, then I think giving it a shot, sticking to your original plan. Or if you were going to walk down to this the state park, then maybe you don't, maybe you just go out into your backyard, but give it a chance because it can clear up at any moment. And there was a big national park out in the Midwest that had like 100,000 visitors for the last eclipse. And it was totally cloudy until the second of the eclipse, and then the sky opened up, and everybody got to see it. So you never know what'll happen. I guess I'm an optimist with that. I know, some people will probably be tempted to like look at a weather map and try to like jump in their car, but there's going to be a lot of people on the road, so I think probably the best plan is to kind of stay put, and kind of roll the dice and see what happens. The only thing that would cause me to like cancel like any of my efforts would be like if the entire sky is one shade of gray and it's been raining for 12 hours. But even then, I might still like put on a raincoat and just like see if maybe there'll be a little break in the clouds
Right,
during.
right.
So,
And you'll still experience the darkness. Um, and there are some kind of citizen science initiatives going on to make some recordings of the eclipse experience. And while we don't suggest that people use their phone to try to take any pictures of the sky, there will be professional photographers doing that. You'll
mhm.
be able to find lots of images afterwards. Take pictures of your family and friends and the crowds watching the eclipse, but you don't need to have pictures of the sky. But what are some other things people might do that you're aware of to help record the experience?
Yeah, I mean, well, I know like during the last eclipse, like news organizations, I remember NPR did this, like they collected little audio clips of people's reactions. And an audio recording, which all of our phones can do, could be really cool. I mean, the nice thing is it frees you from looking at your phone because you just turn it on and you're just recording the audio. But it allows you to sort of have that experience and then, record that for posterity. And if you're in a group, usually the group has like a big reaction to totality. People have all sorts of different reactions, which is, if you haven't seen it, you don't know what your own reaction is going to be. People cheer, they shout. Some people cry because it's such like a intimate and like powerful experience. So it's really neat. So that could be a great lasting memory. Is just sort of a recording of what people are saying and how they're reacting to it. There is a citizen science project. I can't remember what it's called, but maybe we can put it in the show
Yep,
notes as say
I'll
on the
post it.
YouTube, where you can like do an audio recording of sort of the ambient sound around, where they're actually doing some science with that. Listening to what birds and insects are making noise and then not making noise. Um, and that's something I would definitely encourage people to just at least be aware of is the eclipse is happening up in the sky, but it's having an effect on the ground, and so there's all sorts of natural phenomena that you can observe. One thing is in the lead up to to totality, when it's when the moon is partially covering the sun, look at shadows, like shadows going through trees. Instead of regular shadows, you'll see lots of little crescents, which is actually an image of the eclipse. So that's something cool. You can observe. You can observe the temperature drop, usually significantly during totality. Street lights might start to come on. Birds and insects might stop singing suddenly because all of a sudden they think it's nighttime. So there's all sorts of neat things you can do, and I agree with you, Jackie. I don't think it's worth like trying to record a video on your phone, and I'd hate to have people looking at their phones and not looking up at the sky. It is really a wonderful event where you can just look, and you don't need telescopes and binoculars or cameras or anything like that, and I guess trust Jackie and I, it will form an indelible memory. It is very unforgettable. And
It's
so,
definitely a moment to just be present
yeah.
and look. No
Hmm.
need to try to record it or do anything else, but like you said, setting your phone on for a voice memo, setting that down or having it alongside you is a great way for you to come back and revisit, other things going on as part of that observational moment. But yeah, this is going to be something. I feel like how wonderful that this is happening right here, coming over Geneva and the Geneva Comet. You mentioned Mr. Brooks, the Brooks Observatory, Dr. Brooks. The observatory is going to be open for limited tours this weekend. We can also put a link to that as well. That's up on Castle Street. But a great place to be viewing the eclipse. Anywhere in the city of Geneva, it will be visible. The again, activities in the parks, activities or gathering at the lakefront, but no need to drive, no need to be tooling around in your car. Just park it and walk. So
definitely be safe.
thank you so much for your time, Doug, and I definitely look forward to seeing you for the eclipse and welcoming everybody here. And we will see what our post-eclipse wrap-up looks like.
From my days as an amateur astronomer, we used to joke that we had something called a clear sky dance that we would do before an event. There is no official dance, but if you know of one that might influence the weather, then please do it, because
If we could get a sky like this on Monday, it'd be wonderful. So here's hoping.
absolutely. All right, thanks so much, Jackie.